The death of a family member is an incredibly stressful time that can also place an unexpected financial burden on those left behind. Depending on where you live, a funeral can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000. If you've been put in a difficult financial position following a death in the family, you might be wondering if you can deduct funeral expenses from your tax bill at the end of the year. Unfortunately, not all funeral expenses can be claimed from taxes, and not everyone is entitled to a deduction. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the circumstances where funeral costs can be deducted. You might be asking, can I deduct funeral and cremation expenses on my income tax return? Even if you've paid for the deceased person's funeral service, burial, or cremation in full, you as an individual cannot claim these expenses as part of your itemized deductions on your Form 1040. The only time funeral expenses are tax deductible is against a decedent's gross estate, not on the individual tax returns of the people who pay them. The estate has to pay taxes so that it can be claimed because the estate is the one that is subject to estate tax, not the individuals who pay the funeral expenses. There is also a threshold for estate tax, which is the amount of an estate that is exempt from estate tax. In 2023, for example, the estate tax threshold is $12.9 million. If an estate is below this threshold, then no estate tax is owed, and there is no need to deduct funeral expenses. However, if an estate is above the threshold, then estate tax is owed on the amount of the estate that is above the threshold. In this case, deducting funeral expenses can reduce the amount of estate tax that is owed. For instance, let's say a decedent has an estate worth $13 million and the funeral costs are $100,000. The estate tax threshold is $12.9 million. By deducting the funeral expenses, the estate is only subject to estate tax on the remaining $12.9 million, which saves the estate $40,800 in estate tax.